This lecture is on how to come up with a trading system. Here we have a step-by-step formula on how to come up with a trading system. Step 1, as indicated by the number 1, is your time frame. What time frame are you trading in? This you're going to get from previous lectures. You should know by now which time frame you're going to be most comfortable in. Say, for example, you like the 15-minute. That's the example we're going to use in this lecture. Step 2, is your system going to be range bound or trend following? This also will depend a little on your personality, since trends don't occur as often, but when they do occur, the moves are much larger. Range bound trading, you will get more frequent trades, but the moves are smaller. Here are some of the indicators you can use depending on which type you go with. Trends use a lot of moving averages, the MACD, ADX, and range bound uses Bollinger Bands, stochastics, RSI, also the MACD, depending on the settings. Number 3 is which indicators are you going to use, if you're going to use them at all. Now in this step 3, there are 2 smaller steps. The first one is what the signal is, and the second one is what the confirmation and entry is. So say you have several conditions that have to be met before you enter a trade. This is where you will come up with that part. Say your first condition alerts you to a potential trade, and then another condition has to occur before you take an entry. In step 4, we go over risk. You have to determine how much of your account you're willing to risk on that trade. Typically 1 or 2% is normal. Some go as high as 5 or 10%, and some go as low as 0.5%. This is your the amount of your stop loss, not your take profit. Your risk is your stop loss. Step 5 is your entries and your exits. Your entry is going to be when your signal is confirmed by whatever parameters you set. Your exit will be set by a reverse signal or a set number of pips for a take profit. Now, depending on what you chose in step 2, say if you chose a trend following system, then for step 5, your exit should probably be to stay in the trend as long as you can. And if you have a range bound system, then set your take profits to probably 1 or 1.5 times the stop loss. Now once you have all this, you have to test your system. How do you go about testing your system? The first is to back test it manually or computerized. If in your back test you have determined that the system that you came up with is profitable, then you have to forward test it. How do you forward test it? Well, you trade it on a demo account with live trades. Now you stick to this demoing of your system for 1 or 2 months. The longer you test it, the more comfortable you will be with the system of yours. Now after those 1 or 2 months forward testing on a demo account, you have determined that it is still profitable, then you go live with it. You trade using trade sizes depending on your number 4, your risk, 1 or 2% or whatever percentage you have determined. Now let's look at an example on the trading platform. We're going to use this chart down here at the bottom of the infographic and try to replicate that on the platform. So let's go ahead and put those 3 moving averages up. The first one is a 15 simple moving average. The second one is a 60 simple moving average. And the third one is a 200 simple moving average. How this works is if there is a cross of the 60 crossing the 15 in the same direction as the 200, then you have a valid signal. And if the cross occurs but it's in the other direction, you don't take that trade. So to back test it, you just scroll back, make sure this button is pressed. That allows you to scroll back. Otherwise, it will just snap to the current candle. Then once you scroll back, then you see where your entries would have taken place. And then you can see if you were profitable or if your stop loss was hit. And again, those levels were determined in your step 5. Now this system is just something simple I came up with when I was making this infographic. You can use it if you want, but I'm sure there's better ones you can come up with. And that's it for this lecture on trading systems. Hope you found it helpful, and I'm sure you're going to come up with some great systems. In the next lecture, we're going to go over your trading journal. See you there.